and the nitrate vault he swore was in cold storage. The calendar square arrived at 6:05 p.m., neat as a slate. Cinematheque Gala, Pavilion B, late. 2 minutes later, Theo texted, "Don't wait up. Preservation wants me to peek at a humidity warning in the nitrate vault after the speeches. Proud of me." Read he spends the heart when the rest of the sentence wants diplomatic immunity. I turned the polenta down to the kind of simmer that calls itself maturity and looked across the district toward the Cinematheque. At dusk, the low concrete building becomes a quiet ship at anchor, red exits like steady stars, a lobby lanterned in velvet ideas. The square on my phone pulsed once and then behaved. I rinsed an already clean spoon because sometimes unnecessary is the only honest verb available. At 6:27 my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize and a message that recognized me anyway. If the gala's in B, why did he just badge the service hall and take the stairs toward nitrate? Door off the loading court. Reader hates witnesses, cover it and lean. I can stall sweep 2 minutes. Signed with a single letter, H, as if the alphabet had leaned on a rewind bench and promised not to squeal. Harlan runs nights in preservation with the patience of a man who convinces flame to remain hypothetical. He and Theo trade competence in a dialect of hygrometers and donor moods. He and I have shared 2 cigarettes by the exhaust stacks where the building exhales old movies. Once we laughed hard enough a motion sensor tried to learn timing. We have not touched. I remember not touching more clearly than most men remember vows. "Why tell me?" I wrote. "Because your calendar is polite and my badge logs aren't," he sent back. Because he looked up before he swiped. People only look up there when they want oxygen. Because cold storage is keep out the way champagne is hydration. The loading court collected rain in the corners like forgotten subtitles. The service door's red eye forgave my palm after one skeptical heartbeat. The panic bar remembered failsafe as a love language. Inside, the hall smelled like new print and warmed paint. A stair dropped through the building's memory, past a poster cage, past a muffled projection booth where a projector purred like a well-fed cat, and into the deeper air of rules. The nitrate vault is a geography of caution. Rows of gray cabinets line a chilled room, each door wearing a number and a small round window like an obedient eye. The floor is metal grating with a good opinion of itself. A sign reads "No Cell PHONES. My phone learned to behave in my pocket. At the far row, with his jacket off and his shirt open one button past credible, tie folded into his pocket like a plausible denial, stood Theo. Opposite him leaned Lucian Thorne, developer, board vice chair, a roomer with a glass townhouse, and a collection of first editions that has never lost an argument. Lucian rested 2 fingers on the cabinet handle, as if steel owed him an autograph. His other hand hovered near Theo's wrist without landing, because proximity photographs better than contact when your brand buys memory and invoices discretion. "Cold storage looks warm," I said. Theo turned. For a beat truth used his face like nitrate flashes, too bright, too honest before the gala version arrived, posture ironed, breath on script. "Miles," he said. I how did. "Harlan likes nouns," I said. "I like doors." Lucian's smile was the kind inherited by foundations. "We were reviewing a warning," he said. "Patrons enjoy believing the past is stored like virtue." "I prefer virtue that doesn't need a photographer," I said. Theo took 1 step toward me and let the grate keep the second. "We were listening for the compressor cycling odd," he said. He wanted to hear the room without speeches. "Sound is persuasive," Lucian said, opening both hands like tasteful parentheses. 2 minutes. The sweep is punctual, my car is not." He drifted down the aisle, pausing to peer through a porthole at reels sleeping like careful animals. As he passed, two fingers tapped Theo's shoulder, punctuation, not possession. The room exhaled gently. Somewhere a fan negotiated with humidity like a union rep who believes in science. Theo watched me the way men watch weather when they hope lightning is on a different shift. "I was going to text you," he said, lower now, using the register he keeps for mornings and the soft under my jaw. "After. I wanted to know I could leave this room without letting it rename me." "You wanted to be caught," I said. "Not punished, caught." He breathed out and the hygrometer pretended to take minutes. "Yes." There is a temperature at which grammar resigns. I crossed the aisle and put my mouth on his because cabinets deserve honesty and history deserves witnesses. He kissed back with the relief of a man who has been paying interest on restraint, compounded nightly by applause and the quiet demands of film. He tasted like Gala bourbon cooled by chilled air, with the faint sweetness of something lacquered and old. My thumb found the hinge of his jaw and pressed. He made the small, involuntary sound I keep receipts for. His palm slid under my shirt and settled flat between my shoulder blades like a promise that refuses notarization. We didn't undress. The vault charges extra and cameras learn quickly. He broke the kiss first because he knows the exact second heat applies for narrative. He set his forehead against mine. A compressor cycled once, polite and sure, like an engineer clearing her throat. "I didn't kiss him," he said. "I wanted to want to. I texted Harlan." "You did," I said. "He prefers oxygen to salvage." Down the row, Lucian tilted his head with the tidy curiosity of a man who thinks stewardship is a mirror. He didn't approach. The cabinets practiced indifference with professional pride. "Come home," Theo said. "After I thank the person who keeps the air honest," I said. Harlan waited by the anteroom door, lanyard looped over two fingers, stillness set at a decibel that machines respect. He didn't smile. He also didn't make mercy expensive. "Sweep hits nitrate in 90, he said. "If you don't want to explain yourselves to a flashlight that knows your shoes, take the workroom, cut through acetate, row 3, then up the east stairs. The alley cam believes every shipping case is a shipping case." "You sent the message," I said. "I opened a door," he said. "You two remembered how to walk." The workroom smelled like clean chemistry and small disasters averted. Tools lay in trays like honest verbs. In acetate, reels dozed in clear cans as if the future were a polite rumor. We took the east stairs two at a time, pushed into an alley that had already negotiated with rain, and chose sidewalks over lobbies because lobbies write captions and alleys keep secrets. At home, the polenta forgave me for confusing patience with character. We ate standing, like mammals who know where the bowls live. He told me Lucian had been sculpting a compliment into a proposition for weeks, and he had helped because selection feels like love when usefulness empties your pockets. I told him Harlan had texted because some people choose air over alibi. He didn't ask whether Harlan and I had ever been a worse idea. I didn't say how the glow from a control panel turns Harlan's mouth into punctuation that finally knows its job. We didn't fight. There wasn't theater left to sell. Later, in bed, we left a sliver of cool like a reservation and then let it surrender because the night had already billed us for restraint. He kissed me with the steadiness I trust more than policy. I put my mouth where his jaw goes humble and told it a morning. It was heat without spectacle. The building minded its radiators. Across the district, the Cinematheque practiced forgetting names and we encouraged it. Morning behaved. Coffee made its case. Sunlight laid careful rectangles on the table like frames that decided to be kind. The calendar square for tonight stayed blank, which in this city is the kink we can afford. "Thea, tied a tie over a throat I intend to retire with patience, and kissed me like the door already knew our names. He left to explain access to a breakfast that confuses curation with ownership. At 9:16, a text arrived from a number saved as one letter. No vault cam saw anything but doors. I looped a defrost diagnostic for 20. Consider it training. I sent, you're very proud of your training. He replied, I'm proud of your exit. No punctuation correct. By noon, a culture site posted a photo of Lucian in a champagne halo beneath a banner that said keeping the past present, as if anyone had ever asked the past whether it was busy. I scrolled past. It wasn't our room. At 1:28, Thea texted a picture of our kitchen plant basking in a competent square of sun. Room exists, he wrote. The week pretended to be a screening calendar you could trust. Lucian sent a revised pledge with fewer adjectives and more commas. Thea read to the part where the commas began to behave like a harness and set it face down. He pressed his forehead to my temple for a quiet 7 count. Air returned to work. 2 nights later, the Cinematheque hosted Night at the Archive. Honest wristbands, real families, kids learning that the real is a promise you keep with splices and humility. We went together, because sometimes the correct grammar is plural. Harlan nodded once from the workbench like an usher who had already chosen a side. Lucian shook Theo's hand while a photographer taught plastic to glow. A reporter asked about legacy. Theo gestured toward a tech kneeling to show a teenager how to clean a gate without scolding the dust and said, legacy is what keeps rooms gentle. And the reporter wrote it down like she'd earned a truth. On the way home, we cut across the plaza where puddles auditioned to be mirrors. Theo slid 2 fingers into my back pocket in the way that says not mine but here, and the knight did the decent thing and looked away. We burned the garlic and ate it anyway. At the bedroom door, he kissed me the way good sentences land, without ornament, unavoidable. I answered as if verbs were the last honest currency. It did not stay tidy. It never does here. An anonymous account posted a grainy still from a stairwell camera, 2 silhouettes near a gray door, one hand too near to be polite. The caption invented entanglement, the comments rented outrage and billed by the breath. I set my phone face down beside the plant and watched the plant win. Theo texted a different image. The workroom at noon, Harlan showing a teen volunteer how to trim leaders while a humidity graph confessed contentment. Our version works for a living, he wrote. Sunday arrived with a wind that knew the lobby doors by name. Harlan texted, vault's quiet. Want a stool where nobody sells you a seat? We went. He poured us paper cups of coffee that tasted like competence and showed us which sensor lies first, why you never trust a door that apologizes, and the tiny change in fan pitch that means a bearing is about to tell the truth. He didn't flirt with anything, not even the truth. He stood with his hands in his jacket pockets and told us a joke about rich men who think aspect ratio is a metaphor. I liked him better for refusing to be necessary when he didn't need to be. Midweek, the foundation staged a press moment to announce paid internships for projectionists. Theo spoke first, about bolts and volunteers and the joy of maintenance, the only speech that ages correctly. Lucian promised to help the city meet its memories on time, a sentence that managed to spend nothing and still collect applause. After, he shook Theo's hand and then looked at me with the careful respect of a man evaluating whether he cannot purchase. You're both very good at exits, he said. Practice, I said. He laughed because it was the only honest thing left on his card. A columnist with an adjective habit suggested Theo's access came courtesy of private tour. The piece included a photo of cabinets that could have been any cabinets and a paragraph that could have been any rumor. The comments did their choreography. I carried the plant to the sink and let water talk to its roots like a promise we could keep. That night we turned our phones face down and cooked like people who still believe heat tells the truth. On a wet Thursday, Harlan sent a single word, weather, and we met him behind the exhaust stacks where rain negotiated with steam. He showed us which drain floods first, where to stand when lightning auditions near the roof units, and how to hear the faint hesitation that means a chiller will miss its cue without kindness. He didn't ask about the photo. We didn't say his name out loud. 3 people wide beneath a sky that thought about being cinematic and decided against it. We let the storm remove adjectives we didn't need. Life kept refusing to be purchased. Lucian kept sending commas that wanted homes. Theo kept returning them with better ones. The plant kept inventing a shade of green that turns vanity domestic. We kept our calendar squares blank on purpose because blanks are the only promises rooms respect. Sometimes, near midnight, we walk past Pavilion B and watch a late screening spill into the lobby in soft, half-awake light. From outside, you can't see the nitrate cabinets or the quiet, decent posture of a man who teaches volatile history to behave. You can only see a disciplined glow pretending not to belong to anyone. That's as it should be. We circle the block and go home without letting the building perform at us. He takes my wrist like a man reteaching himself the grammar of doors. I think about the vault and the 2 minutes that were enough, about how some rooms try to own you and others teach you how to leave correctly. Sometimes I think about Lucian paused by a porthole like a man who wants to buy air and discovering it doesn't invoice. Sometimes I think about Harlan's line, "I opened a door," and how it's the only biography I want for this version of us. Tonight's square is empty. We're leaving it that way. Let the Cinematheque keep its speeches and the city its applause. We have the East Stairs, a plant we refuse to let die, and the quiet grammar of a decision that knows where it belongs. Not in the rumor, not in the photo, but in the mouth that learned to say come home and mean it. If we get caught again, let it be by each other. The rest of the world can rehearse nostalgia. We'll be in the room that doesn't need it, counting breaths until they sound like a steady fan, and a morning we can afford, and calling that enough.